Hiya. How's it going? You all right?
Hello.
What's wrong? You okay?
No, I'm just
You
excited.
okay?
Yeah,
Happy
good.
to be
Excited?
here.
Aye, let's go.
Come on.
Who is the greatest football team of all time? Football might have been around for about 150 years at this point, and the maximum amount of time anyone around this table has been here is 31. Older than 31?
No.
47?
I'll get in there.
Aye. So, with being here for 31 years, of course, we can say beyond any shadow of any doubt who is the greatest football team of all time. I'm joined by Statman Dan and Owen Mawson, who is currently nicknameless.
Yes, I am. We
What do
need
you want to
one.
be known as?
We've got Statman Jam. We've got Opta Joel. What's your
Statman Jam.
Jam? Would you have a nickname?
Twat.
Okay. Whatever you want to call me.
Oh, he's found out. He's found out.
Right, so basically this is all kicked off because of Manchester City obviously completing the treble at the weekend in the Champions League final against Inter Milan. So we're here to say, no, Manchester City's not the greatest team of all time. This is. Dan, go first.
Right. Well, I've went for the other treble-winning Manchester team,
Oh.
the 1999 squad to be exact. So, do you just want me to break down the?
Tell me why they're the
key
greatest
players?
team of all time.
Well, I'm going to break down the players, but I think the main reason is because not only did they have great players and brought great players in, they also developed those players, unlike a Manchester City who just bought. You know, it's easy to say, he's very good, I'll buy him. And that's what they did times 11.
Firing shots already.
I'm just saying, I'm just putting
It's
out
a
there.
fair point.
It is.
point,
It is.
you know what I mean?
Hence why none of us have got them for the
that's
debate.
That's why I respect this club. You know what I mean? Right. Anyway. So starting with the manager, Alex Ferguson, arguably the greatest manager of all time.
He is, as we're sat here now, he is.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pep might overtake him, but currently as we're sat here, he is the greatest of all time.
Now, I don't know how Pep could. He would need to turn a bang average player into a world beating player, because he won the Champions League with Nicky Butt, for example. So you know what I mean?
He was a good player in the 90s, Nicky
Pep's
Butt.
not going to do that. You know what I mean? So Alex Ferguson won the Champions League twice with two different generations of a club. It was great. Peter Schmeichel in goal. UEFA Goalkeeper of the Year for 3 years. The only goalkeeper to win Player of the Season in the Premier League. So there's a little stat for you there. Keep looking at you. I'm looking for the nod of approval.
I'm nodding.
to be impressed.
I'm just
with
worried
these
we might
stats.
be here all bloody night.
Sorry,
Where are you going?
I'll speed on.
I told you he's got 45 minutes of material
I really
on,
do, yeah.
on that first page alone.
Just on Dennis Irwin. Anyway, Gary Neville, 5-time Premier League Player of the Year. Dennis Irwin, the only living thing.
5-time Premier League Player of the Year.
Team of the Year, Rob.
Hey,
Dennis
bloody
Irwin.
hell, he's just lying out his arse. now.
That's Gary Neville, yeah. Dennis Irwin, the only living thing Roy Keane loves more than his dogs.
Yeah.
Jaap Stam, UEFA Club Best Defender of the Year. Ronnie Johnson, they can't all be world beaters. Jesper Blomqvist, I can't pronounce his
Blomqvist.
name. Yeah.
Rolls off the tongue.
Swedish Goal of the Year, 1995.
Crucial to this debate right now.
Ryan Giggs, most Premier League assists of all time. This man assisted so much he even assisted his brother in ploughing his wife.
For 8 years.
I knew
There you
that was
go.
coming.
That was good. Roy Keane, Sunderland legend. An argument for being the greatest captain of all time. Well, that might be another video if I survive that long. Paul Scholes, wanted by the European elite for most of his prime career. Some people say Gerrard, some people say Lampard. I see a Scholes.
Really?
Interesting.
Maybe
debate
the
for another
only
day.
We'll
Premier
do that a
League.
video a different day.
Yeah. Maybe the only Premier League player to have sex with his daughter. Nicky Butt.
Hey, just to put it out there, in case you don't know, he does suck at toes.
He does.
Exactly.
So-
That's what I
That's
want.
confirmed.
Nicky Butt, Hong Kong League Cup winner, 2010, 2011. Just a little stat for you there. David Beckham is David Beckham. Dwight York, Premier League Player of the Season, Golden Boot, Premier League Team of the Year, 0 Father of the Year awards. Andy Cole, probably better at Newcastle, but hell of a goal scorer.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's basically the
Well, I
squad
don't know
then.
how we can argue with any of that.
I mean, it's all, might as well
Let's
end the
back
video
up
now.
Yeah.
Owen is pointless. What do you could
Well, hang on.
You got any more stats
Yeah,
before
before
we
we go
move
any
on?
further, he's just
No.
listed names.
I think they've heard me talk enough. I'll come back with some rebuttals.
You're gonna come back. Come on, let's go over.
So yeah,
come
what
on.
did this team
What,
achieve,
what did
Dan?
they win? They won the treble.
Well,
Go
they
on.
won the treble. You know, they won. If you're going from the squad itself, which was very similar in 1997 to what was in 2001, so I class that as the era. They won 4 consecutive Premier League titles. FA Cup, Champions League. Again, developed homegrown players. You got Gary Neville in there, the class of 92, Nicky Butt, Ryan Giggs, David Beckham. Just a great team. And that, yeah, I think that's why they're my greatest team.
Why would, if I was to say to you, what makes their treble better than Man City's?
Well, I think one, because it was homegrown. Two, because it was kind of unprecedented at the time to be that domineering in terms of not only in the Premier League, but in a European competition as well.
And if I said to you, Jamie Carragher says Man City's is better because they didn't play as hard. They had it all quite easy all the way through, but they still won 3 trophies. What would you say to Jamie Carragher?
Well, he's wrong.
I don't know about easy.
not
I mean,
even asking me.
Arsenal were in pole position most of the time.
They were.
So I don't know. But again, it's kind of like, yes, they're both great teams, but I just think when you look at the squad that Manchester United had and the squad that they made as well, like these are some like icons of world football. And yes, like Haaland's great and stuff like that, but I just don't think you're going to get that kind of same, I don't know, like gratification because they did just go, he's very good, I'll pay 100 million for him, he's very good, I'll pay 50 million for him, etc., etc.
One point to back up Dan here for picking this bunch. Like their 4th choice striker, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, like their 4th option comes on off the bench in the Champions League final to score the winning goal. You've got like Teddy Sheringham on the bench, who's like 140 odd Premier League goals, I think, of all time.
I thought you were going to say years old there.
I think that's what he was when he retired, yeah. And then obviously in 2001, they'd bring Van Nistelrooy, who was one of the best Premier League strikers of all time. So yeah, I think just that whole squad, it's just an iconic squad, really, when you think of the history of football. That's one of the teams you think.
Do you
of.
have how many points they won the league by?
I do.
That season.
I do, of course I do. If I've got Nicky Butt winning the League Cup in the Hong Kong League, I've got this.
Now, did they run away with the league this season?
No, they didn't.
I can't remember.
Very similar to Manchester City, Arsenal were the team that finished second.
Mm-hmm.
So it was Man United was 79 and Arsenal was 78. So it could be an argument against that they didn't dominate the league, but it was a very different landscape then. It is now.
It was largely a 2-horse race, wasn't it, back then? Just them and Arsenal. Final day. I think Man United beat Spurs at home, didn't they? Andy Cole dinking it over Ian Walker.
Yeah, Chelsea came third. They were 75, so it was...
Oh, it was
between
quite
the
close
third
then.
Yeah, 75, 78, 79.
Yeah, and then Leeds in 4th was 67, which shows you how times have changed. Newcastle 13th.
That's what Kenny Dalglish does to you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Behind Chef Wed.
Sells all your best players and then replaces them with Ian Rush and John Barnes.
I reckon we can segue on now.
Knobhead. Right, what are you going to talk about?
So, my team, I've gone for a Liverpool team. Originally, I was going to go for the most recent successful Liverpool team of 2018, like post-Coutinho to 2022. Up until last night when I was doing a bit of research, and the Liverpool team, every team is compared to is this one here. It's 83, 84. I mean, I suppose that there's a bit of an era before that with Bob Paisley where they won Champions Leagues, European Cups and the league title. But I've gone for this one because it was the first season as manager for Joe Fagan, who's only manager for 2 seasons, or 2 or 3 seasons.
The boot room lad.
The boot room lad. He was a coach. He was a coach for like 20 years, coach and assistant manager under Paisley. Then he took over, and in his first season as manager, he won a treble. Not the treble, because he didn't win the FA Cup, but he won the European Cup, he won the Division 1 title, and he won the League Cup as well.
You live an arse backwards treble, don't you, Liverpool? You never win the proper one, do you?
Yeah, we like to do things our own way, don't we? So, although this is not the greatest treble ever achieved, we all know that belongs to Gerald Houllier and the boys there. So yeah, in his first season as manager, won the treble. A bit of the end of an era because Graham Souness left after this season. Dalglish, this was like his last season at the peak of his powers. He started to dwindle after this a little bit, and then eventually became the player manager. So yeah, Division 1 winners with 80 points. Guess who finished second?
In 83, 84?
83, 84. Who pushed Liverpool close?
Was it Diev?
No, it wasn't Diev.
Spurs?
No.
Oh, Man United?
No.
Who was it?
3 points off. They pushed us right
Villa?
to the end. Southampton.
Oh, wow.
Southampton.
Wow.
So Liverpool finished on 80 points, 42 games played, 22 wins. Obviously, this is when the league had 22 teams in it. And yeah, Southampton on 77, Nottingham Forest on 74. So it was a tight race there with some unlikely names.
Well, they were just coming off there, back-to-back European Cups, weren't
Yeah,
they?
yeah, they were.
should be in the reckoning for the greatest club team of all time.
They're in
back-to-back European Cups like
Absolutely. Anyone that can achieve something like that. We won the European Cup in Roma's backyard at the Stadio Olympio, winning it on penalties there, 1-1 after extra time. Beat them on penalties in their own backyard, famous for the Bruce Grobbelaar spaghetti legs that Dudek emulated years later. League Cup, we beat the Ev. in the final on a replay, because back these days, you had cup final replays for the FA Cup and League Cup. So we beat them in a replay. That was a 1-0 Souness winner in one of his last games for the club. Well, not last games, but one of his last most important games for the club. Overall stats: 67 games played. It's a big old season. 67 games played, won 37, only lost 8 in all comps, drew 22, 118 goals over all competitions. And I've got here just a list of like some of the most key players, important players in that season. Ian Rush had his personal, I think it was his personal best, or it was up there with his personal best. 47 goals. 47 goals.
I'm going to smash that when I speak on my team. Smash it right in the face.
I know who you've got in your team, but we'll get to that later. So 47 goals in 65 games. He won the Golden Boot in the league with 32 goals, and he won the PFA Player of the Year. Just beaten Graham Souness, who was our captain, came runner up in Player of the Year. Lifted 3 trophies that season, 61 games, 12 goals in all comps, and he's not really a goal scorer, Graham Souness. He's just a midfield maestro there. Running
midfield criminal, I think you'll find.
Graham Souness.
Dirty, horrible bastard.
Gets the job done.
Cowboy
you didn't say that about Roy Keane.
Yeah, he's a horrible bastard.
You didn't mention it.
I'm saving it for the greatest captain of all time video, obviously, because your captain can't get sent off that many times and be a great captain.
Of course he can. That's what makes a great captain.
He's scared as sheer, isn't he?
I've seen a photo. It looks like he punches him.
Who else have we got here? Dalglish, as I was saying, one of his less prolific seasons, but still got 12 goals, 14 assists.
Lovely arse as well.
Yeah, he's just a great man.
Just a great arse.
Great arse, great man.
Great arse. The best arse in football history, some say.
Really?
Just backing into a centre half.
As you do.
Lovely, juicy double.
Harry Kane's up there. Harry Kane loves backing
Great
into...
arse.
Yeah,
Harry Kane loves backing into defenders.
Has he got a good arse, though?
Oh, yeah.
Peachy one.
I mean, maybe not up there with Dalglish, but...
Interesting.
And then I've got written down here the entire defence, because it's a who's who of defenders. You got Alan Hansen, you got Mark Lawrenson, the face of match of the day throughout the 90s and the noughties. You got Alan Kennedy and Phil Neal. Phil Neal scored our goal in the Champions League final. I keep saying Champions League, European Cup, different era. And yet all of them across the back, they all played 60 games that season, so they were dependable, reliable, not leaking loads of goals. And I think that's all I've got here. Hang on, let me just go over the European Cup run.
That's why yours is ruled out, though, because everyone knows football didn't exist before 1992.
Oh, right,
You know what I mean?
There we go.
A lot of them stats don't count. That's basically amateur football.
Who's Maradona? Who's Pele?
It's basically Russell Foster's league. You know
Who
what I mean?
did Pele score 1,000 goals against? That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
He scored a fair few in the World Cup, for example, but outside of that, what's he really done?
What I mean, credit. I mean, in all fairness, like the competition probably wasn't what it is these days. But I mean, you can't just diminish what they did.
No, we're just joking, Owen.
I'm just joking.
I am glad you changed your mind though, because you initially just to peel the curtain.
No,
as
I said before, yeah.
1920 was what you said to me, and I was like, you can't have the team that largely over 3 or 4 year period finish second as the greatest club.
If
team.
I was gonna do it, I was gonna do 18 to 22 because we won everything with roughly the same squad, a few additions here and there. But no, I decided, wait, if you literally type in on Google Liverpool's best team ever, it's usually, this is the one that usually comes up, even compared to the one of recent times. So I had to go for it. So yeah, won a treble.
Aye. A treble.
And I was a treble.
Not the treble.
Not the
Yeah. Oh, who knocked us out of the FA Cup? I think it was Brighton in the 4th round. That's why we stole McAllister. Right, moving on.
All right.
I thought you just tried to talk yourself out of a point there, having them being the greatest team ever. Brighton back then.
I mean, maybe we fielded a weakened side.
They didn't even have a stadium in the 80s, Brighton.
Who knew?
Right.
Zerbi had them playing great football back in the 80s.
I'm going to go for Barcelona. Pep's Barcelona. Just the note at the top top here. 14 major trophies over the space of 4 years. The only team to have ever won 6 major trophies in a single calendar year, which included the treble for a Spanish team.
The official treble.
They housed a player called Lionel Messi, who scored 91 goals in a calendar year. This was obviously the team that housed the greatest player of all time at the peak of his powers. Pep Guardiola took over a team that had done well. Let's give him credit, because that's the thing that people always throw at Guardiola, is he's taken over teams that are already doing well, but it wasn't as well as you might think. Yes, Frank Rijkaard had won the Champions League in 2006, back-to-back La Liga titles, 05-06. But then Ronaldinho and people like that started taking the piss. They started going out and drinking alcohols and stuff like that. We had Samuel Eto'o in the press criticising Frank Rijkaard for his methods and stuff like that. Ronaldinho, as I said there, was going off the rails. Real Madrid won the league in 2007, a full 18 points ahead of Barcelona. So everything wasn't as shipshape and well as you might be thinking. Everything that had been built up under Juan Laporta since 2003 had been falling apart over that 06-07 campaign. Pep obviously came in from Barcelona B when it looked like, I didn't realise this, but apparently Mourinho was the favourite to take over because Johan Cruyff's wife said he couldn't take over, so the next choice was Mourinho, but then they went for Pep instead.
Was Mourinho still at Chelsea at the time?
He was still at Chelsea at the time,
just gone?
But obviously had the links of being Bobby Robson's translator and stuff in the 90s.
Yeah.
And then Pep apparently said to big old John Laporta, he said, if you appoint me as coach, I'll win everything for you.
Confident
Which is
lad.
a nice thing for a B team coach to say. Then we get the 08-09 campaign, which I think is my main crux of the best team ever. Pep's first season in charge, just 38 years of age. He made a statement right from the get-go. He sold Deco to Chelsea. Ronaldinho went off to AC Milan because they didn't fit into what Pep wanted to do. We know how well-drilled Pep's teams are. They defeated Real Madrid 2-0 at home, then 6-2 away. It was an absolute mauling. They won the league by 9 points, won the Copa del Rey. Then thanks to a nice referee in the semi-finals of the Champions League that year at Stamford Bridge. We all know that one, don't we? They then went on to defeat Man United in the final with Messi scoring a header, Rio Ferdinand in the mud. Lol, what an arsehole he is. Later that year, they then won the Super Cup, the Super Copa de España and the Club World Cup to complete the 6 trophies within a calendar year. Onto the tactics, we know the 4-3-3 with the holder midfielder that they play. Victor Valdez in nets. Yes, he made a mistake. Yes, he was good with the ball at his feet. He very much fit what Pep wanted from his team and complemented each other very well indeed. Dani Alves at right back might be the best right back of his generation.
Yeah.
You can't think of too many ahead of him, especially going forwards. Gerard Piqué returned to Barcelona after his excursion, we'll call it, in Man United. He was 6'4", obviously, complemented his partner at the back, Carlos Puyol. Piqué was doing what John Stones has been doing this season before John Stones was even born, right? As far back as 2008, he was doing... I'm taking the piss, everybody. But he was doing that role where he was going into the midfield and then sometimes just bombing on and joining attacks. And then Puyol was very much the opposite of that. He was smaller, yes, but he was just grittier. He was a bit more of a pit bull. He would just tackle folk and do stuff like that. Eric Abidal was the left back of the team. He was versatile. He was a warrior. And other words that describe an honest, good football player. Maybe not one of the best, but not one of the worst either. Then we had the pivot, the holder midfielder, the sort of... They went back and forth between Yaya Toure and Busquets in that season in the holding role. This was Busquets' first season in the team at 20 years old, and which is considered, I think it's a bit of a miracle considering how Pep uses that midfielder, how much ball they get, how much responsibility they have. 20 years old, first season in the team, and he was getting Yaya Toure out the team. I know it wasn't really Yaya Toure's best position, as we'd learn at Manchester City, but I still think it's a marvellous achievement. Then we obviously have Xavi, Iniesta in front of Busquets or Yaya, Henry, Eto'o, Messi. They won 2 more league titles off the back of that 08-09 campaign in the Champions League again against Man United in 2011 at Wembley. At the end of the 10-11 season, they had won 13 trophies in 3 years. Pep was averaging a trophy at the end of the 10-11 campaign every 14 games as Barcelona manager. To put on top of that, there were 7 Barcelona first team players in the Spain team that won the Champions League, the World Cup in 2010. And then the top 3 for the Ballon d'Or in 2010 as well was Messi number 1, Iniesta number 2, Xavi number 3. They were dominating everything to do with football. And it was just lovely how Guardiola, who of course was at Barcelona for bare time before, as a player, was bringing back the sort of Cruyff philosophy of the 4-3-3, and then he was playing like a 3-4-3 a bit later on when they had David Villa. Because he went through...
I love that team.
He went through Ibrahimovic, he went through... Who was the other striker he signed? Then he signed David Villa and everything was... he fell out with Eto'o, didn't he? Fell out with Eto'o, signed Ibrahimovic, fell out with him, signed David Villa, then got it right with the 4-3-3. So it's just the way... They changed football again by using Cruyff's methods, because obviously you think about the influence Pep's had on football over the past however many years, well, probably since this 08-09 campaign that I'm talking about here, by and large. Just every team's playing out from the back, and I think that all pretty much started in Europe at least with Barcelona. And the trophies are there to speak for themselves, and that's why I think they're the greatest player of all time. They're the greatest team of all time.
Yeah, I mean, they're up there.
They are up there.
They're up there.
It's up to you at home, by the way, to decide who is the best team.
Yeah,
You
let
might
us know in the comments.
You might think there's somebody else, by the way, that you think is the greatest team of all time. Joel, just behind the camera, what are you saying? Who's your greatest team of all time?
Probably Pep's Barca.
He's gone for Pep's Barca. That's a Liverpool fan going for Pep's Barca.
It probably is. But you Bagsied this before we even started, so I had to find someone else. I feel like I've really let myself down here because I've focused on one season. I could have done the 5 years prior to this.
Why didn't you?
I should have. I've let myself down.
At no point did we say one season.
The reason I didn't is because it would have been over 2 managers, and I thought keeping it as 1 manager would have made more sense.
That is an interesting point. Can you have one team with 2 different managers?
Although it is most of the same players.
Even though I guess Tito took over this Barcelona team and continued it for a bit more, didn't he?
Yeah.
But is it the team? I mean, or is it more? I mean, obviously they had great players in the Xavi, but that was peak Messi. You know, I think with this Man United squad and a bit with the Liverpool squad, it was the team as a whole rather than an individual player.
Then he was going to play Javier Mascherano.
A centre-back as well, who was he was not a centre-back.
Exactly, yeah. Pep's a good manager. You know?
He's a good manager. I'm trying to just find any avenue for, yeah.
But there we go. I think that's a discussion over. We've wrapped it up quite well considering how we started the video.
Yeah.
It's up to you to decide who's the best team ever.
Let us know down below who you think are the greatest club team of all time. It might be someone different from the 3 we have around the table here, but that is the beauty of football. Everyone has an opinion, and much like arseholes, they're all smelly. That's the end of the video, lads.
Bye.
Subscribe to the channel, please. Thank you very much. Cheers.